Hi, hello everyone, Sebastian speaking here from Colombia Stacking. Today we're gonna see how you start up your first MultiversX node and how you can actually secure your server and install your first node. Um, we will try to make these tutorials for the community. Our main goal is that everybody should be able to actually start up a node. So let's go for it. The first thing is the server location and the type of server you want to install. The most common one, or the one that you actually open online, so those cloud data centers that you paid per month, so these are huge data centers with uh, many servers, and they are renting the power to uh, the clients. So the important thing to note is if you open this kind of server, it has to be dedicated CPU power. That's very important. You have another option. You can also buy a server, computer, parts, or whatever, and you make your own server, physical, and you install it in your own infrastructure. So this is what we use at Columbia Stacking. We have our own data center, and we actually have our own servers inside. The minimum specs for your server is 4 CPUs, Intel or AMD, with this special flag that you can actually verify on Ubuntu with this command if it's actually compatible. You can also go online and go to the specs of your CPU, and most of the time it will show if it has these flags or not. 8 GB RAM, 200 gigabyte of SSD hard drive, 100 megabytes per second always on internet connection. So this is symmetric. By experience, I've seen that the download is always higher for specific node than the upload. But anyway, better to have symmetric speed connection for your node. 4 terabytes per month for the data plan, because if you go for an online solution, sometimes you will have a limit on how much data you can download or upload during the month, and a Linux or macOS environment. So here for this video we will use Linux with Ubuntu, and you can also do it with macOS. Okay, so how are we gonna structure this tutorial? First, we will open the server and connect to it. How do we connect to it? Then we will secure the server. After that, install our MultiversX node. How we can uninstall a node, how we can install several nodes on one dedicated server, and finally how to maintain and monitor it, which is also very important. Okay, let's go. So open the server and connect to it. So you can choose, as we said, online cloud server. So in that case you use dedicated CPU. You can build your own server and then install Ubuntu, or you can buy a computer with the minimum specs. So let's go for the first connection. To connect to the server, you use SSH connection. So the command is like that. You have to open a terminal. So I'm on a Mac OS machine, so this is my terminal here on the right. If you are on a Windows machine, you just have to also open your terminal window. Okay, so let's copy this command. Okay. Alright, so the first thing you will ask, of course, is the password. So the password will be sent to you by your service provider, and you just have to use this first password they sent to you with the username root to connect the first time. So let's go. Okay, the thing you will ask first normally is to change your password. So our current password, so I will type the current password. Okay. So now he's asking me a new password. So choose a password that you actually can remember. Anyway, we will change it later on. Okay. Okay. So in my case, I typed the password 2 times with the wrong. So let's do it again. So current password, paste, again, new password, and the new password again. Voila. So now we are connected. We are connected to the server. Let's do a clear to clear up a bit the window. Okay. ls command is to actually see what you have inside your current folder you are on the server. So if we do ls, you see that we have one folder which is called snap. Okay, but we are actually connected to the server at this moment. So the first steps will be to install and do a few updates on the server for the firewall and the Ubuntu. Okay, so let's first install the sudo, which is important to actually have right access. Normally it will already be installed. So nano command is actually important to change some ASCII files. Install the UFW, which is the firewall, which is default on Ubuntu. Okay. Git is the command to copy, download codes from GitHub. So this is something we need. Okay, let's see if there are any updates to actually performed on the server. So we continue. So now he's looking for the latest updates. We will then upgrade. So asking for confirmation, so you have to say yes. Okay, so now we are putting our server with the latest update from Linux, which is important for security, and to have a working environment. The next step is very important, is to change the user. As you noticed, the default user when you open the server is root. But for security, we don't want to keep this name. If a hacker knows your public IP address, which is not difficult to know, the first thing he will try is to enter your server using the root username, because it's the default one, so he has a big chance to actually break your server using that username. So how we change it? Okay, we use this command. So the new username. So in this video we will call it node1, but don't call it node1. Give it a name that is difficult for any hacker to actually break through. Alright? Okay, he's asking me a new password for this username. So again, try to use a password software or app manager to actually make a random password that you can use for each server. This is very important, that it has to be hard to remember. Hard to remember for you. If it's hard to remember, then it's hard to find. Okay, retype the new password. He will start to ask you your information, so you can skip and don't put any name here. Room number, work phone, other, just enter. Is this information correct? Yes. Okay, so now we have just created a new username. So now we will connect to the username. Give it privileges first. Okay, so the new user in our case is node1. Voila. And now we log to the server using the new username. So soup node1 up. Okay, we are logged in to the new username. You see, it has changed. We are not under the root, but under the node1 username. So now we will try something else. We will try again to log to the server with the same IP address, but using the new username. So let's start up a new terminal. Okay, and now instead of using SSH root, we will try to use SSH node1 at the public IP. Okay, he's asking me for the password, and the password is actually the new password we just created. Yeah? That's it. We just logged through our server via the new username. Okay, so we can close one of the windows. Now we have, so we are inside. If I do ls, I can see again. So now we have nothing in there inside, because we just created a new username. So let's do a clear. Voila. So that was the first thing. Change your username, give it privilege, and connect to your server again with the new password. Okay. The next step will be to set up a SSH private key connection. What is that? Is actually, in order to connect to your server, you don't want to have just a username and a difficult password. You want to make it even more secured by using a private key. What is a private key? Is a file containing a key, which is numbers and letters, and this key has to be on your local computer you want to connect to your server. If you don't have this local file or private key, you will not be able to connect to the server. So let's say somebody stole your username and your password without the private key, you will not be able to connect to the server. So let's set up that. What you need first to do is to actually open a new terminal and stay on your local machine. So now I recommend to use, of course, a machine that you will always use to connect to your server, because then your private key will be already there. Anyway, if you one day want to connect via another machine, you will have to move your private key to the new machine, which is also possible. So let's start up with this command. So this command will start to create the private key on your local machine. So you have to give it a connection name. Okay. So connection name. So let's give for us Colombia stacking. Colombia stacking. That will be the name of our private key. Okay. Here as well. Hosting company. Okay. Colombia stacking. Okay. Enter. Okay, we already did this step, but we will overwrite it. Yes. So now you will ask me a passphrase. What is a passphrase? A passphrase is the password you need to use this private key, to open this private key. So again, make something completely random, difficult, using password management apps, for example. I will just use this one for the tutorial. Okay. Enter the passphrase again. And here we are. So it just generated a key SHA 256, so which is encrypted, and passphrase is the only solution to actually read it. All right. Let's see and check if the agent is actually existed. Yes, it exists. Check previous SSH keys by typing. So let's type it to check previous existing SSH key. Okay. If you see some SSH key that are actually present here, you need to delete them by using this command. But normally you should not have it. Okay, let's continue and add the SSH key to the SSH folder of your computer. So we will ask again the passphrase. So the passphrase. Alright. Identity added. Okay, which is perfect. So now he had in my folder of my local computer the identity. Alright. Now the next step is actually to send the SSH key to the server. So this is done by this command SSH copy ID. So, and we connect to the server. Of course, he will ask the password. So the password, you remember, is the password of the new user. Let's copy password. Okay. Okay, number of key added 1. So okay, it has been added to the server. So now we should be able to connect to the server using the private key. Let's try. Okay. How we do that? To do that, you need to actually add an option in the SSH command. The option is -i and then the location of your new private key with the name of your private key. Okay? So if I do this, is connected already to the server straight away. Okay, we just connected. So the connection is working. That's no problem. The next step is very important, is to change the port. The default port for SSH connection is port 22. If a hacker knows your IP address, your public IP address, you will first start to enter via port 22. Why? Because this is the default one for all SSH connections. We want to change that. So how do we do? So now we have two windows, okay, connected to the same server. So we will just keep one, which is enough. And we start using this command. Okay. He will ask me for the password of our node. Okay. So what is this command? Nano is to actually edit some ASCII files. So now we will use this command to actually edit this sshd/config file. It includes all the, the options and the configuration of the SSH connection. So the first thing we will do is change the port 22. So this line, you see, by default is port 22. We will change to port that you choose. So it has to be between 1024 to 655.335. Okay, so you choose the port that you want to use. So here in this example, we will use 44221. This is an example. Okay, what else we're gonna change in this important file? We will go to the line where we have the permit root login. You remember the first username is root. Permit root login at the moment is yes. We don't want that. We want to make it impossible to the root username to connect to our server. So we put it no. And below this line, we will add a new line to be sure we have our new username allowed to connect to the server. So allow users node 1. Okay. Now we will go step more. Public key authentication. This one, it's yes. This is public key. This is our private key. So of course we want to allow connection to the server via private key. Okay. Now we have to look for password authentication. Yes, it's here. Password authentication. We don't want to allow this anymore. So if somebody has your password and your username, you will not be able to connect because we set it up via private key. So here we put no. Okay, so now we have changed everything that needed to be changed in this file. So we will just Control X. Okay, Control X. He will ask you to save. Yes. So Y, you say yes, and enter to confirm. Okay. So now we need to reset the firewall. The firewall is actually what will allow you to connect via a certain port. Okay, so let's reset it. There's a warning. Say yes. Okay, and now we need to allow the new port. So the port that you set up, you want the firewall to allow it to connect. Okay. Now we will enable the firewall. Okay. Yes. Firewall is active and enable on system startup. And now the next step is to restart the SSH service because we changed that very important file. Okay, So now we should not be able to connect to the server via the root, via the password, and and the only way to connect to it should be via the private key. So let's try. Okay. Let's say I want to connect again to the server. Okay, to the server. Okay, trying to copy this. Okay, so we want to connect to the server again like we did at the start using the root. So what is happening now? You see, it's impossible. Impossible to connect port 22 operation timeout. Why? Because we just closed port 22. Port 22 is completely closed. You cannot access via port 22. Okay, then let's try now to use a different port. So the port that we opened, 44221, is asking me now a password. Okay, this is the password of our node. So let's try. What does it say? Permission denied. Please try again. So this is a root password, of course. So let's try our root. Remember we changed it, so to put the root password. Permission denied. Try, please try again. Okay. So if we try this one, we should not be able to connect. Okay. You see what's happening. Permission denied, public key, password. It will not allow you to connect with the password, even though you connect to the correct port. Why? Because he wants a private key. Let's now try to connect with our private key first. So how do we connect with the private key? We need to put all this information. So first let's start up, of course now I'm connected. So start up a new terminal, because now I'm on the server on this one. Okay, this one we will leave it here. Alright. Let's try to connect like this. Looks like there is a mistake. See, there is a space here. You see? So now he's asking for the passphrase. So the passphrase is the passphrase of the private key. Paste. Okay, so we could actually connect using the passphrase of the private key. So now the connection is working. just need to be sure that we cannot connect with the password. So we already tried to connect with the port 22 with the root. Now we just need to be sure we can connect via the password with the new user. Let's try one more time, and otherwise we will need to actually use another IP or connect later to be sure this is not accessible. So let's anyway try. So now I don't put any private key. Okay, so it's still possible. We will monitor it to actually try again later. And in the meantime, we will start to continue and install the node. Okay, so to install the node, the best is actually to go to the docs of MultiversX and to follow the steps. Let's start. So run a validator node. So here they will tell you the background, some inputs about the new stacking version 4, and then the system requirements that we already discussed, some networking, and actually the first command you need to put is to allow your firewall to connect to the MultiversX node network. So you need to allow those ports. So you will ask, of course, for the password. So okay, the rules just had it. Perfect. Let's continue. So now we need to download the script and the code. Alright, this is done. Configure the script correctly. So you need to first know who you are, which username you are using. In our case is node1. Then you need to open the configuration of the script. So here what is important is to change the environment you want to work. Is it the mainnet? Is it the testnet? Is it the devnet? We want to put a new node on the mainnet. Okay. Custom home. So your username is not Ubuntu. In our case, it's node1. Node1. Okay. That's it. So once you've done that, Control X, yes, enter. This is done. It's very detailed in the docs, all the steps. Now ensure user privilege. Okay, let's ensure user privilege. So here we need to add this line. So your username, of course, you need to put your username. So node1, Control X, yes, enter. Alright, once we have done that, we can we can start to install the node. Okay, so let's start at the script. Alright, here are all the options you have in that script, and those options will actually activate or make some changes for your node. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna install one node. Yeah, how many nodes do you want to run on MultiversX Node mainnet? One. All right, and now this is a magic. The script will run, it will install what it needs, and it will do that all automatic. So we just need to wait. It will install the Go algorithm with all the code. So download it from GitHub. Everything is public. So once we have finished with this installation, the next step is to prepare the keys. So the key of your node is very important. This is your, like for the SSH connection, this is a proof to give to the blockchain that your node is yours. And every node has a key. It's like the password, the passport of your node is the identity of your node on the blockchain. This is the key of your node. Choose a custom name. Okay, let's give it a name. Colombia stacking tuto. Okay. No PEMs present, you see. You should add some valid keys. Okay, we will do that. So now we will just quit. So 18 at the moment. And start to prepare our key. So ls, you see what you have inside the folder you are in. cd command, you go back to the home folder. So now I just went back to the home folder, and now you see that inside my home folder I have 4 folders which are new: Elrond nodes, Elrond utilities, Go, and mxchain scripts. cd Elrond nodes, I be able to go to that folder. Okay, if I go now ls, you see that inside the folder I have node 0. If you would have installed more nodes, you would have node 1 and node 2. So if I go inside this folder, node 0, what do I have? 2 new folders, config and node. If I go inside config, here are all the config files of your node. One important config file that you will find here is the press.txt .toml. We will open it. So nano breadth.toml. Here are some preferences that you can actually change. So the first one is important as well. On which shard you want your node to run. Okay, if you want to have it on the shard 1, on the shard 2, or on the meta chain, here where you have to choose. The node display name that we put, you can also change it here, identity, etc. Okay. And in the case you use multi-key system, so you can actually run multi-keys for one servers since version stacking version 4, you will also have to put them here. Okay, so now you know this important press file that is actually inside your node configs. So Control X. So let's go back to the menu and let's prepare our key and create a new folder, validator keys. This is the folder. So mkdir, this is to create a new folder. So now we have a new folder which is called validator keys. Inside this folder you have to keep zipped all your private key or your keys of your node. If you do an upgrade, if you install a node, the script will know that for each node the private key it has to use is inside this folder. Okay, let's generate a key for our first node. Okay, so now if we do ls, you see that you have a new file which is called validatorkey.pem. This is the key of your node. So let's have a look inside validatorkey.pem. What do we have? Begin private key 4. So 4, this is your public key. And the private key is this one. So just now, actually, you know the private key of my new node. So if you would be a person who wants to damage my node, you would be able now to actually create a server with the private key of my node, make damage with wrong transactions, for example, and on the name of my node, because you have the private key of my node. That's why the private key is very important. You need to keep it secret, that's for sure. And nobody should be able to access your private key file. Alright, so let's go back. You can generate as much as private key as you want. Each node needs one private key. Now we will move it to the node config. Remember we went in this config file, so the script or the system needs to know which private key is for each node. So it has to be in the config folder. So now if you do ls, so it's still there, but let's move back to the config folder. Okay, ls cd node 0 ls cd config, and now what you see our private key is now inside this folder. So now the system is ready to actually start up the node. You have your private key, you have your server, which is secured, and you just finished to install the node. So the last thing, we will actually save our private key to the backup validator key folder we just created. Okay, so now he zipped it, so let's have a look. So if we go to cd validator validator underscore keys, and this, that's it. So now we have a node0.zip. So we know if we do an upgrade of the node, it will take automatically this private key. Okay, let's go back to the menu. And now actually we are able to start up the node. Okay, so let's do it. So we can actually go back to the script, or you can do, let's do it via the script. Okay. And number 9, start. Do you want to start all nodes? Yes, yes. Starting MultiversX Node 0 binary on host. Okay, so let's quit. And there is a visual interface that you can actually use to see what's the status of your node. So let's show it. All right, so here you see the shard where your node is located. You will see what's the status. So now is starting to sync with the blockchain. So what does it mean? That means, okay, the connection could be established, which is good news, and you will start to download the latest states of the blockchain to be able to be completely synchronized. Okay, so actually congrats, because you just finished to install your first MultiversX node on the completely cloud servers, on the cloud servers that you actually just set up and secured. The only thing remaining is to check if nobody can actually connect to your server without a private key. You remember, you need to try again with the password and the new username if you are able to actually connect to the server. Okay, so try sync is in progress. So let's keep it like this. Something we can do is actually to show you how you can transfer your key of your node to your local computer. If you want to store them somewhere, you can actually use this command. This command scp is actually to transfer files from one server to the other server. So from the remote server to your local server, or from your local server to your remote server. So in this case, I would, for example, transfer from my remote server my private key to my local computer. So that's why I wanted to show you this commands, because it can be very useful to actually back up your key somewhere else. Imagine you lose the control of your server. You don't want to have your the key of your node locked there as well. Why? Because you need your key, for example, to add a node to the blockchain, or to remove the node from the blockchain. All right, so our node is synchronized, so we should be able to start to see it on the blockchain. Let's have a look. Let's go to validators. So this is the Explorer, nodes. Let's try to look for it. We called it Colombia stacking. Okay, what's the status of Colombia stacking? Okay, Colombia stacking, we have already some nodes, but you remember we called it Colombia stacking tuto. So let's see if we can see it. There it is. So you see it has the status of observer, of course, because it doesn't include any stacked yet. So that will be another video, how to stack your node and stack your node. But now you see is synchronizing, so your node is actually detected by the blockchain already. So you see your public key. So the public key is actually linked to the private key of your node, like we saw in the key file. So that's it for the moment for this first video. Once it's finishing to sync, you will see the amount of connected peers, the CPU load, the network used, etc. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Hello everyone again, Sebastian here. So we configured the node, we secured the server, and the node was in synchronization with the blockchain. So now let's have a look if it finished synchronizing. Alright, so let's connect back to the server. Okay, there is a small mistake here in the space. Right. So he's asking for passphrase, of course. Okay, so you remember the command. So first you go to Eldron utility, and then you open the graphical view of the status of the node. So what we see is the status now is completely synchronized. We see the shard, we see the node software version, public key of the node, and okay, the CPU load at the moment, memory load, the epoch information, traffic, and all the peers connected. And here is what's happening. So the latest blocks and all the transactions that are happening. So let's have a look now on the Explorer. So we we go to validator node, so let's look for Columbia stacking. Okay, so you remember we call it Columbia stacking tutorial. So it's here on the shard2. It's fully online and synchronized, and if you open more details, okay, you have your public key and the version. So this is actually an observer, and okay, if you stack this node with the minimum amount, then you can transform him from observer to validator, and it will start to validate transactions.